So, hello everyone, good evening and welcome. This is Ramola D from Ramola D Reports, and I'm here again this evening with Seven of Solutionaries Media Network. And we are here once more to do a NEWSWATCH show, as we've been doing for the past few weeks, I guess. I guess this is a once in 2 weeks kind of show that we've been doing. So, welcome everyone. Glad to have you here. And thank you, Seven, for joining me today.
Greetings, everyone, and greetings, Ramola. And it's nice to see you again, to be here for another episode of NEWSWATCH. Now, as always, I want to post the link. Let me see. Is it in the chat?
Oh, let me give you the link this minute. Actually, let me put it in the main chat, and let me put it in the chat over here. I just posted it in the main chat so other people have it as well to share if anyone wants to, and I will post it right here for you.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. So while you're posting that, I can introduce you a little bit. People know Seven from her very many appearances on this channel, and also on other channels. And her own channel, of course, where she does shows. Seven is a music producer, a musician, a writer, an author, a concept creator. She's the person who created Dancing with the Stars, and she's someone who's also experienced a huge intellectual property theft to the extent that she had to take huge media networks to court, which actually resulted in a win for her, but which did not follow through with complete compensation as required by the court. Instead, Seven was targeted, as many people report being targeted these days for very many different reasons, whether whistleblowing on corruption, IP theft. Steve Shellen also reports IP theft with the loss of his Lionsgate production company, which was ultimately taken away from him and taken up by somebody else, apparently. So, and also in the Hollywood entertainment world, just as Seven comes from. So this kind of thing apparently goes on quite a bit, just as we know that corruption of all kinds in the banks, in the police departments, in the judicial, the court system, in government has become a fact of life now, something that people have started to learn more and more about over the last few years. However, the good news is people like Seven and myself are people who stand out and speak up. And that's something Seven has done throughout. And as a consequence of her speaking up, many people have come to know her story and have come to hear her voice, which at this point in time is hugely important because Seven is a powerful voice and a powerful speaker. And I'm so glad, Seven, that you're doing your own shows these days and you're doing your own little news analysis pieces, right?
Yes, I'm just posting the link. I am listening to you. Just give me 1 minute, Ramola.
Okay, no worries. I can probably talk a little bit about some of the things we hope to touch on this evening. One of them, of course, is the big protest that we've seen breaking out across many parts of the world, particularly in London and in Berlin. And then we want to talk about some of the increasing lockdown mania that's going on in Australia and New Zealand. And
that's outrageous. That is totally outrageous what's going on in Australia, but we know that's for every one of us. I've just posted a link, and
okay,
so
good,
thank you
good.
for the introduction, Ramola, and hello to everybody. I have these lights and I have to sort out my lighting situation because it is terrible. As everybody who watches my video by now know. Hold on. And so I'm just really, really hot underneath these lights. It's really, really bad. But anyway,
do you want to turn them down or put something over them or something like that?
You really can't. There's no way to do it. I've tried to figure it out, but it's like I don't know what to do to
sorry
make it
about
better.
that.
I've tried to use different sort of, it's hard to explain the setup here, but it is really bad. But anyway, yeah, thank you for the introduction. In my course of time, I've seen so many cases, Ramola, and obviously the entertainment industry, the crimes within the entertainment industry is flagged up big time. We now have people protesting outside networks in relation to the trafficking that goes on. But there's different types of trafficking. There's electronic trafficking, which is also a form of slavery. Targeting of individuals is also a form of slavery, you know, and sadly what happens is that people get paid off to either become a troll or a perp. You know, people sell you out in order to profit themselves. It's a very nasty situation, and we need to change the paradigm. Now, we spoke a little bit in the introduction, or just before we went on, that tonight is a Pisces full moon.
That's
I
right.
always observe the
Let's talk
moon.
about that.
Yeah, I always observe the moon cycles, because the full moon and the new moon is basically, each moon is governed by a particular sign, as many of you know. And today is a Pisces full moon. Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is the planet of all that is hidden, all that is illusions, and it is a very spiritual planet. It does talk about the spiritual realm as well. But one of the powerful things about this particular full moon is that it is about lifting the veil and authenticity. At this particular time is a very powerful time, because things are coming to the surface that have been hidden for a very, very long time. Nothing is hidden anymore. Basically, the veil has lifted. And this is a time of each and every one of us becoming authentic, becoming our true selves, being honest with ourselves, being truthful with ourselves, as well as being truthful with others, you know. And really, this is the beginning of what is really going to be the golden age, because the problems that we've been facing in the world is all on account of deception. It's all on account of the painting of illusions, the absolute abuse of people's rights, using lies, treachery. All of these things are old paradigms that are totally outdated. And it's our time, Ramola, that each and every one of us, on a micro level and also on the macro level, because what happens on the micro level also happens on the macro level. So if we don't deal with our stuff, if we don't deal with ourselves, you know, we're not going to be able to change the corruption in the outer world. The way that we change it is by looking at ourselves and actually saying, you know, making the decision to come clean, to get rid of these illusions that people find themselves embroiled in. You know, this is the main problem that all of us have in society, is deceit, treachery, and corruption, whether it be on a micro level or a macro level. And so this particular full moon is producing very potent energies so that we can address these things. So as Ramola is sharing here, it's a really good time. I encourage everybody to look at the meaning behind this particular moon, and, you know, do cleansing in your own lives, in your own personal lives, you know, and seeking to, because we are extremely powerful, particularly when we come together from the heart space. When we come together from the heart space and we recognize that the impact of our own personal lives have a great deal to do of what happens on the in the outskirts, in terms of the whole world that we're living in. We know that we've had enough, and that's why the protest on Saturday was so successful, because we've come to a time where we've had enough as a humanity. We have had this culture of other people stepping on another person in order to get ahead in life. That's an old paradigm that we need to change. And so let this full moon tonight be a reminder to you to look into your own life and your own relationships with other people, and start to address You know, if you have people that in your life that are being dishonest, speak to them. Speak to them. If you can't, if they are not receptive and are resistant to change, it will be that you'll have to call them out, because until we address it within our personal lives, we're going to stay stuck in the same old nonsense. So I encourage everybody, look into what the meaning behind the full moon in Pisces, look into Pisces being ruled by Neptune and how it affects your personal life, and start addressing it, you know, in one way or the other. You know, I've seen so many relationships. We've had the rise of narcissism, Ramola. There is so many narcissistic people out there who do not have empathy, who really don't care whose life they destroy. As long as they get what they want, they don't look back. They don't care if it's children. They don't care if it's adults. They don't care. And these are the people who are keeping humanity on a low vibration. These people are energy vampires. And we have to start calling these people out so that they look at themselves and start addressing it. Yeah. So I
That's
wanted to
brilliant.
start with that today. Hopefully it will resonate with some people and we'll be able to transition, each and every one of us. You know, nobody's perfect, Ramola. None of us are perfect in life. Everybody makes mistakes. But when you perpetually go about your life to destroy the lives of other people for your benefit, it's outrageous.
It
It's
is. And
outrageous. I've had so much of it, Ramola, because of this catalogue of work and my IP. I have been subjected to so much treachery. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. People to seeking to live vicariously like a parasite, like an energy vampire. They're seeking to build their empires off my back. And meanwhile, it's not even just building their empires. You're also talking about people who are trying to keep me in a position of zero. Basically, my labor is to support their lives and not my own life. You know, I've had this from my ex, who's called Patrick Walker. These people were involved. You know, he was the one that told me that my cousin had to be gotten rid of, my cousin Ronnie Nicholas. And I had two female friends. One of these friends named Fire, I knew her for 50 years, Ramola, over 50 years, okay? This woman that has done so much treachery, so much evil and wickedness. And for 3 years, Ramola, we have tried to get this woman to address her crimes, and she refuses to do so. They actually put a newborn baby inside a Sainsbury's bag and dumped it in the park. I mean, we're talking about
oh my God.
crimes that are horrific, Ramola. I've gone to court, and because of the lockdown, God knows what's going on, but they didn't answer the case. And as everybody knows, my cousin Ronnie was poisoned and he was murdered. And basically, these people know exactly what happened to him. The next thing I knew was that my ex was driving around in a plush car, in a sports car. And this man didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. Where did he get the money? I know where he got the money. He got the money from treachery, you know, and probably desperation. He didn't have any money. So evidently he did some backdoor deal with the people from my case to get 30 pieces of silver. That's what he told me. He called himself the original Black Devil. What did he say? Judas, the original Black Devil. And this is an example of the kind of things that are coming out into the open. I mean, I'm one of the best investigators that there are in the world, Ramola. I'm around investigators. I don't even know what they were thinking. it's like somebody sticking their head in the sand and thinking nobody can see me. It's absolutely absurd. And the mentality of the lot of the people who are doing this corruption to other people and climbing upon other people's back to make themselves have money, etc., on the back of other people's suffering, knowing that we have a problem of targeting of individuals, we have a problem of human trafficking, we have slave trading going on. And these are the paymasters that these people are seeking to get their 30 pieces of silver from.
Oh, they're
It's like,
part
what
of
are you
it.
thinking?
And see, this is the thing. I'm so glad you brought this up because this is definitely one of the subjects we wanted to talk about today, is
Yes,
that these are people who have actually taken money. They've taken their 30 pieces of silver from contracting parties who actually have contracts. These are budgeted contracts, made with the DoD or made with the CIA, made with an actual intelligence agency or the DoD. In your case, it's the MOD, I guess, in the UK.
yeah,
And
and GCHQ
and
and all the intelligence
GCH,
agency, the state basically, the state apparatus. So,
absolutely, the state apparatus, which has all of these agencies, which, by the way, they also operate as independent private agencies. That's how they are incorporated, as private agencies. But they get money.
absolutely.
They get money from the federal government, and I guess in the UK from the UK government, right? They
Yeah,
get
also the media networks are involved in this. This is
and the
why we
media
have
networks,
the
BBC.
entertainment industry is absolutely corrupt. And then we
Hmm.
have the judiciary. Now, one of the women, Hick McCall, she pushed herself to me and pushed herself into my life as a social justice lawyer. So I embraced her and let her into my home. Next thing I know, these people were planning to murder me and my cousin to get at the money. And it's like, this is the
Oh my God.
mentality of what we're dealing with in terms of the targeted individual. And you're going to talk a little bit because it's important for people to know what's happening to you. I know that you're going through hell on earth right now. And I have to applaud you, Ramona, because you put you have so many people on your channel. You promote people's situation, you expose people's situation. Very
Hmm.
few people expose your situation. This is what I notice.
Oh,
You
nobody does. I notice that people are very afraid to touch that subject with me and to talk about it with me. And, nobody's inviting me for an interview to talk about this. Perhaps interviews on other subjects, but not this.
what about
So,
Richie Allen? You were on his show recently. Was what
oh,
did that
Richie Allen's
cover?
great. He was very nice. He had me on his show, and I'm sure I could have spoken about it had I wanted to, but we were speaking about I guess the world situation, the lockdown situation, my experience in India. Just we were talking about other subjects, and I think we talked a little bit about Bill Gates. We talked about what's happening in the world. It was sort of a larger conversation. He did invite me back, and hopefully I will speak again about Bill Gates. I'm researching that a little further.
Yeah,
Bill
but
Gates in
you have
India,
to, sorry to
but
cut you there, but you have to highlight that you're being abused as well. You're
but
targeting because you see, we're extensions of each one and each one another. Yeah, we're
We
all
are, we are,
extensions.
we are, and I have no qualms with speaking about what is happening in my case, which, by the way, I do. I write about it. My articles are online, they're on my website, and I frequently tweet about it. And this is the thing, if people are on my Twitter feed, they will see this. And I am not creating any kind of compartmentalization between the work that I do as a journalist and what I'm reporting as. As evidence of my being targeted wrongfully and
Mm.
unlawfully and illegitimately. I absolutely don't. And everybody who's following me can see my tweets. I'm not trying to hide anything.
No,
However,
no.
I'm not trying to hide anything, but
That's good.
the one thing I have sought to do, and I think some people do appreciate this, is that for the past 7 years, as I embarked on my own investigations of what's going on, with targeting, with surveillance, with all of the surveillance technology that's in use, and that's been used on me, and as I worked with other people, as you know, there's a whole history there, working with Technogram Fighters Forum, etc., and then working on my own, and working as a journalist, covering other subjects, not just surveillance technology. So you see, this is the thing I wanted to do, and I think that I have done. I have ventured out and I have tried to work as a journalist in areas of my interest, which are all associated, with current affairs, what's going on in the world today, the rise of totalitarianism, the rise of globalism, the United Nations, Agenda 21, what's going on right now with these COVID lockdowns, the faulty science that's being published constantly, in relation to this COVID nightmare, and as well as other subjects. I've recently been covering issues in China and issues in Germany. So my intention has been to become a voice or a platform or a space for the discussion and analysis of different kinds of affairs, particularly science and technology related, certainly, because that's my base, but also current affairs related and freedom related, freedom and sovereignty related, because freedom and sovereignty today is so important to look at in context and in juxtaposition with the horrific totalitarianism, the fascism, the removal of freedoms, the removal of human rights, civil rights, liberties that all of us are facing today, the removal of our freedoms of speech, of expression, of being. We can't even go out to a store or a restaurant now, they're all closed. We can't go to the museum, we can't go to the park without, huge sort of preparation and working out, shall I wear the mask, shall I not wear the mask? That's what people are worrying about instead of simply taking their kids out to play right now. So I wanted to establish a base for sort of general journalism, and from that base continue my focus on exposing the horrors of targeting, which I have not forgotten, which I'm not walking away from.
You always report on it. I mean, I think you're probably the number one go-to channel for targeted individual news. Anybody who wants to expose it will get a platform and also can learn so much about the technology. But can you just speak on what has been happening to you, just so that
Thank you. I was coming to that. Yes, I was coming to that. So you see, yes, you're right. I've sought to interview other targets and, bring in whistleblowers and so forth, and I will continue to do that. The thing that I have not spoken on my channel personally so much about is precisely this, which I've put, on Twitter instead, and I've put in my articles instead. So today what I wanted to do was I wanted to mention that, and I can share screen and just show my Twitter thread over here, and I'd recommend everyone to go check it out if you are interested. My Twitter handle is at ECC Everyday, and as people know, I'm reporting being targeted since 2013. And when I came back from India this time, of course, I was hit in India too. And when I say targeted, I mean I'm being hit. I am being hit with electromagnetic weapons, with sonic weapons, and acoustic weapons, literally. And I can tell you, since I came back from India, it has been off the charts. And what's really evident to me, because, this is what I researched the last time, there is obviously a contract going on over here. If there wasn't a contract, you wouldn't have cars, SUVs, trucks zooming up and down the street while I am being hit with radar, with remote neural monitoring, which my nerves can register and record.
Okay. Can you actually physically feel it on you? How does it?
That's it. You're being hit. Of course, you physically feel it. Yes, you physically feel. I'm sorry, though, Seven. Did you mean about the neural monitoring in particular?
Yeah, I wanted to give the audience a sense of what that actually is like for you, physically speaking.
Okay.
How does it impact on your body?
Okay, the remote neural monitoring is just monitoring of nerves from a distance. Now, a lot of people say it's a lot of other things, but in actuality, remote neural monitoring is exactly what it says. It's monitoring of nerves from a distance. So what's happened is the surveillance state has rolled this into their arsenal of weapons, of technology that they are using to monitor people with. So if you are targeted, you are most definitely being remote neural monitored. In order to do do that, what they do is they move in next to you, or they co-opt your neighbors, and they sit next to you, and they are literally sitting and picking up signals from your body. Because every single, part of our body emits different frequencies. So they pick up all of those frequencies, they create a database of those frequencies, and then they weaponize it by putting it in their little portable radar weapons, so that they can, from a distance, use it to figure out where you are, in which part of the room you are, and what you're doing. And they hit any part of the nerves in your body. So I have been hit, by the eyes, by the left eye in particular, by the eyelashes, constant flickering. I have been hit in various parts of my arms and legs, nerves and arms and legs, nerves by the mouth, nerves, different parts, hands. They've hit the hands as well. So they are literally doing this. And what does it do when you are hit with a remote weapon, when you are biohacked in that way? It does a whole bunch of things, and I will probably write much more extensively about it. But one of the things it does do is that it indicates to you that somebody is accessing your body. So somebody is sending you a message that they are accessing your body. This morning, I was walking from the kitchen to the front porch, and a woman walked down the street. So at this point in time, here's another thing. Most of us are covertly implanted. We have implants in us, and they are tracking the implants. And when they can't get a frequency from the implant, they bring out the remote neural monitoring guns, so to speak. So one of the weapons they use is walker stalkers. So a woman walks down the hill in front of my house with a handbag, completely not looking at the house, not very covert, obviously, not having any connection. So it would look just as if she were just a walker walking down the street to anybody else. But to me, because I am being hit, I immediately sensed a flicker on my hand as I came to the front porch, as she walked by. So to me, it is clear what is going on. But obviously, it's not clear to anybody else, because this is my body I'm speaking about. Nobody else is here, picking up that little nerve flicker.
Yeah.
So that's one. So that's just monitoring.
Can I just interject and say that Natalie Moore, who's been on one of your shows as well, she basically has written a book where people can read about it. She's been targeted for the last 20 years, and her book is called Remote Control. It's on Amazon. If people want to get an idea of what that's like, you can actually purchase her book, Remote Control, which basically talks exactly what Ramola is saying here. This is remote. This is a remote program, just like actually it's an electronic slave trade, because
it absolutely is.
It's an electronic slave trade that is happening to many, many millions of people all over the world.
Completely. It's extremely intrusive, so nobody can call this surveillance. This is bodily intrusiveness. This invades your bodily autonomy, your bodily sovereignty. Nobody has the right to touch your body, whether up close or at a distance, unless it's consensual. This is not consensual in any way. These people have no right doing what they're doing. So,
and also exploitation. There's an exploitative.
Yes, there's an exploitative
aspect of this, because obviously there's money being made.
Correct.
Us being literally tortured, potentially people could be paying to torture people privately,
Correct.
That's
exactly.
What's going on as well. And so I think it's really important that people also flag this up, share this information, report on this information. We need more channels that are going to bring this to the spotlight in order for us to change it. We really do.
We do. And, this is just sort of touching the surface, skimming the surface of the horrors over here, Seven, because this is just sort of a flicker to let you know that you're being surveilled, or to send a signal to find out where you are, or whatever. All right. So this is one aspect of what they're doing. They are using hyperscalar radar. Now, I don't know the exact ins and outs of the technicalities of this. This is something I need to research a little bit further from the physics end of it. But it is certainly a kind of scalar radar, which literally can send crawling signals onto your skin, and they are invading private parts. Okay.
Wow.
And they literally do this to me 24/7 to the extent that I have to shield constantly. If I do not shield, I can't do a thing. I can't get anything done. I can't
How do
even
you
walk
shield?
from one room to another. I have to literally use shielding in my underwear because they are hitting me in my private parts. Okay.
Wow, Ramola, that's a form of rape, isn't it?
Totally. It's sexual molestation. That's what it is. It's sexual molestation and attack. The Justice Department needs to know this. And this is why, they know it. And this is the thing that really gets me because as I look into the documents and I do the research, I find out, hey, for the last 50 years, they've been working on non-lethal weapons with the Department of Defense. The CIA is in on it. They're all in on it. All of these agencies are in on it. They're all so excited about being able to use non-lethal, what they are calling, and this is also euphemism, what they deliberately chose to keep the horrors of these weapons, which are biohacking weapons, away from common knowledge. They chose this term non-lethal weapons. These weapons, they say, won't kill you, but in actuality, they can kill you if they're revved up to the right intensity. Yeah, they can kill you. I have been reporting being hit in the heart for years. I've been hit in the heart for years.
Wow,
And
Ramola.
I wear orgonite at my heart or river stones at my heart. I have
Wow.
found out ways to shield that work for me.
So
And
what ways would you, because there's obviously, this is a widespread international program that is affecting millions of people around the world. How would you suggest that people shield, like you say?
I always recommend to people what I use and what's worked for me, but I can also tell you, having spoken to many people who are targeted, each person is being hit with a different kind of technology. Literally, there are so many different kinds of technologies out now. There's millimeter wave weapons that they have. They have scalar radar weapons. They have neuroacoustic weapons. They have BCI weapons, and that's another part of it. These are brain-computer interface weapons. A lot of people are reporting synthetic telepathy and verbal abuse in their heads, visual images that are sent to their retinas, holograms. These are not science fiction anymore, and I've been researching, investigating, and reporting on this for years now, so I know it's true. I personally have not experienced these things, but other people whom I trust quite a bit have and have been speaking to me about it for quite a while. So I know that this is going on. So there is a whole gamut, there is a whole range, there's a dizzying range of exotic weapons, exotic technologies, emerging technologies that have been used on people for the last 20 years in the USA, also in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, all parts of the world, which is why, and this is one of the points I wanted to make today, Seven, and I know we've talked a little bit off air about this, is that today everybody is worried about COVID, lockdowns, freedom of speech being taken away, police knocking at your door and all that. But how have they gotten away with it? How have they gotten to this point? They got to this point by co-opting our neighborhoods. They have converted all of our countries into Stasi setups, completely. Our neighborhoods are taken over. Our neighbors are absolute snitches, spies, co-opted people. They have consented. They've consented to monitor others. They've consented to keep an eye on others in community policing. They've consented to using little portable weapons on others, using their cell phone to track others, and noise harassment. So today's Twitter thread, of course, sorry to have gotten off the thread over here.
Yeah, I was going to bring us back to that because I was just reading what you've written here. Run noise harassment campaigns right next door. Power saws, garden equipment for hours yesterday in retaliation for truth-telling tweets on flu vaccine, plausible deniability, Stasi on street. So yeah, so basically what you're exposing everything on your Twitter page. So for anybody who wants to have a look at that, go to Ramola D at Everyday Concerned Citizen, isn't it? This is what
Yes,
ECC stands
ECC,
for.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. So then you have the second one where you say sorry, just here, Quincy, like Boston, like every other town and city in MA. What's MA?
Massachusetts.
All right. Now pray to the
A
AI run. Is it AI?
It is
Right.
definitely AI. I can tell you my experience tells me that, they do it in shifts. Different neighbors start up at different times. And then the cars and SUVs go pounding, the drones, the helicopters, they all, when they lose signal, when they can't track a particular implant, they go crazy around me with the noise harassment.
Wow, wow. So basically it says they now prey on AI-run domestic terrorism covered up as community police monitoring, neighborhood watch by top crims in local gov, noise harassment with extremely loud power equipment, a major tool. So you've added Donald Trump and General
General
Flynn.
Flynn, yes.
It
I just
says,
add people as I think of them. I have to tell you, this noise harassment this morning went on for 2 hours. So I'm sitting there trying to research for an article, and 2 hours of this rubbish going on, really loud in the backyard. And I go out and I take a look, and it's two doors up. It's this guy walking up and down in the rain. It's raining as well. It's kind of drizzling, and there's nothing to do out in the gardens. But hey, there he is with his loud, garden equipment making a racket.
yeah, there's a lot of people being paid like crumbs, to them it's big money if you don't have any money, and a lot of these people run the TV networks. They're involved in all kinds of entertainment industry organizations. When you think it's a small agency, it's these people who are funding it. And that's why the entertainment industry is being flagged up. It's been the source of so much misery in people's lives for so long. It's so good to see that people are now starting to recognize that a majority of the problems that we're seeing comes from the entertainment industry, which is in bed with these intelligence agencies and these organizations, black ops organizations involved in human trafficking and slave trading, etc. In order for us to transition, these things have to be transmuted into the light. These things have to be brought to the table so that we can, clean it up. We can't clean anything up if these things continue. Now I'm reading here, it says, while loudly droning small planes, helicopters zooming, SUVs, pickups, trucks, FedEx are all being used non-stop this week and every week, along with rerouting of
Along
commercial.
with the W's, just with. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Of commercial planes, getting the neighbors to non-stop power saw, lawn mow, snow blow, major tactic. So basically, they have these people who are being paid to literally psychologically terrorize you, because
Totally.
that's
And
what it is.
they're terrorizing everybody in the neighborhood, Seven. I can tell you, Joe Murphy across the street, Richard Norton on this side, who sold his house and run off. But apparently, the guys who have bought it or who are renting it, their names are not on the property viewer list on the Quincy government website. So I don't know if they're renters or if if their names have simply not come up as yet. But there are new neighbors here who are doing exactly what Richard Norton was doing. And then, everybody around, there are so many. This was from, gosh, what are their names? I found their names and I posted it on my Twitter. I think their names need to be published. Andrew and Holly, it's their house, for who did the noise harassment today.
Yeah, I
It's
definitely
so
think.
loud. I can't tell you, it's incredibly loud.
Wow. Well, I mean, any form of noise harassment should be reported. But what I was going to say is that, we have to make it so that it's not profitable for these people to do this.
Correct.
The
We
only
have
way
to
that you do
expose
it
them.
by exposing what is going on, because sometimes I've had many cases where members of the family, in my case, it was my friend and my ex-partner and my ex-husband, he got involved in this abuse against me and my cousin, and now my cousin is dead. Nobody wants to answer any questions, zipped. But meanwhile, you see this man driving around in cars that he could not possibly be able to afford. He couldn't possibly, And the thing is, they don't realize that they're pawns in a bigger game.
That's what's
Because
happened to this neighborhood. They
once you
get
work with these people, you're putting your whole family at risk. You're putting your whole family. It's not just the person who's
They've
being
become part
targeted.
of the mafia. That's what it is. They've joined the mafia. Let's call it for what it is. These guys in the so-called police department, so-called justice department can hide this, calling it community police monitoring and neighborhood watch, but it's nothing of the sort. It's absolute communist mafia behavior. That's what it is. They are terrorizing people. The noise harassment is overt. It's off the top, off the charts, overt harassment. Everybody, the babies on the street, the elderly on the street, everybody's being harassed when Joe Murphy brings out his snowblower or his, leaf blower. He's got a leaf blower with a power sound on it, which can be heard 3 blocks away. I take the dog and run out for a walk. I can hear him still blasting 3 blocks away. In my house, it sounds like a bomb has gone off. And he is standing there, with the earphones on. It must be sounding as loud to him as well. He is a pawn. He's a pawn of the state. He is a complete pawn, and he has given himself over to harassing his neighbors. That's what he's become. Joe Murphy has become a noise harasser. And in addition, by the way, to using other weapons, I have experienced hits in my body as he sits in his car, with his little cell phone, monitoring me, because I drove up at just that moment. So he's done that arrival departure monitoring that a lot of the neighbors are taking part in. But I can name some of the people on the street who have been involved in a lot more than just watching. They have got weapons or cell phones or however it is, they're able to send signals which send a pulse, okay? So they're sending, and this is the other thing that we didn't talk about yet, Seven, is microwave pulse weapons. These are the big directed energy weapons. Microwave pulses being sent from cell towers, being sent from portable weapons in neighborhoods. This, in fact, is the way they've locked down the neighborhoods. They have locked down, the globalists have locked down all our neighborhoods a long time ago with this electronic concentration camp set up through co-opting a whole bunch of criminals. Our own neighbors have become criminals now. Through co-opting this bunch of people, getting their consent to torture their own neighbors. So when the neighbors participate in this, you're in communist China or communist Russia or some communist hellhole.
Nazi Germany.
Nazi Germany, exactly.
This is what they're trying to take, because you see what most of the people that join this type of thing, because it's covert and it's all mafia based, a lot of them think, well, nobody's ever going to find out. There's a hell of a lot of investigators out there, so I mean, how they could possibly think that people will just sit there and be abused and tortured, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's why a lot of the people that they get, they are people with narcissistic behavioral characteristics.
You mean selfish, like very self-centered?
Extremely self-serving people who
self-serving, correct, yes.
Yeah, but not just that, Ramola. What seems to be, it's like people who do not have any empathy. They don't have any compassion they cannot process the harm that they do to other people. It doesn't mean anything. You kill people, you can put your baby in a plastic bag, a Sainsbury's bag, Sainsbury's is a big store, and dump it off like a sack of potatoes. And, you can go out and dance that night, and basically, so I have this friend who was basically, I knew all my life. My mother and her mother knew each other all their lives. Okay, so we're talking about 120 years of history between my mother's generation and her mother's generation. This woman planned an elaborate scheme to sleep with my husband behind my back. Basically, there's no question that there was some rewards that she was getting for engineering this.
Wow.
And basically,
that's a major attack on you, on your marriage.
The plan was, I mean, in one way, I mean, I'm glad to be away from these people. These are toxic energy vampire people. These are people demonically possessed with a legion, because a legion of demons is what I was going to say. But my point is when you switch off the heart, when you switch off the heart and you're not operating from the center of the heart, That means that basically you are no longer, because in order to do this to people, you have to switch off part of your mind. You have to switch off part of your soul. And in order to be able to sleep at night and just focus on what you're going to get. So these are people who are deeply materialistic, you know, and they live. This is another very important point, Ramola. A lot of these people are very fake people. They have one persona that they put out there
They
in the
have
world.
to, yeah.
And
How could you
basically,
survive it?
behind closed doors, these people are monsters.
And
They're
that
monsters.
describes how this entire government is running. That describes how the entire mainstream media is running.
It's
They're
all fake.
engaging
So
in monstrous behavior, Seven. This is
absolutely.
monstrous what they're
And
doing.
on a macro level, we see that every day they're pumping absolute lies on mainstream media
Correct.
about this COVID situation.
It's total doublespeak, total cover up,
Every
total.
absolute lies. I mean, if you look at the mainstream media for this march, for instance, which was phenomenal, and we're going to talk about the march and show some pictures, etc. When you look at, first of all, they didn't cover it. There was 35,000 people that marched. Shout out to Kate Shamarani, Mark Steele, and everybody, Kevin Corbett, everybody that participated. And, you know, these are people that I've done panels with over a period of time. So behind the scenes, I was pumping it everywhere, you know, to make sure that people
Fabulous.
knew it was happening. And 35,000 people showed up. There was no media coverage on it. For literally, I think at the time there was no media coverage. They covered Berlin, but not the UK. And when they did cover it, they covered it like 10,000 people were there. And they also said that it was conspiracy theorists. You know, basically, they refuse to acknowledge the truth. That is a major part of the
Well,
problem
they're
that we face.
they're miscasting it in a very misdirective and misleading light. They call everyone corona deniers, anti-lockdown protesters,
Anti-vaxxers and all the
COVID
rest of it.
deniers, anti-vaxxers. So they've got all these choice terms. You know, we literally have to create our own media with choice terms for them. They are
Yes,
liars.
absolutely. These are literally liars from the pits of hell who have no
Yeah.
conscience whatsoever. And that's on a micro level. Oh, sorry, on a macro level. On a micro level, I have seen people that I know. This one woman called Fire, she literally went around the streets. When people confronted her, she threw herself on the ground. You know, one kind of a performance this woman gave, knowing that
Oh,
you're
yes.
guilty, knowing that you're guilty, you know, and she's got all these people that are pumping her up and kind of like protecting her and helping her to literally be a monster. Helping this woman to be a monster instead of saying, you need to deal with your stuff and deal with your evil. You cannot go around life doing evil to people, other people for rewards. I mean, come on, get real, people. And this is why I mentioned today the Pisces moon. All of this filth is coming to the surface. There will be nowhere to hide for any of these people. Now, we know that in Germany right now, in Berlin, they are protesting day and night. They started together with the people in the UK in solidarity with the UK on the 29th of August 2020 in order to basically kick off what is a whole week worth of protests. They're protesting day and night, and people have donated their basements in Germany with food and water so that people who are out at night, they can get food and they can get water, because they recognize that unless you get these people out, it's doomsday for everybody, because what we're dealing with is deep cowardice as well. There's deep cowardice. and
There's cowardice, there's fear, there's submissiveness. You know, people have been submissive. And you know what pleases me right now with all this, with the people rising up against these lockdowns, what pleases me to see is that the strong people, you know, the ones who do have strength of spirit and moral integrity and courage are speaking out. They're opening their mouths and speaking out. They're standing up. They're going to the protests and whatever, you know. Whereas when we spoke out, when we were targeted and we spoke out, nobody was listening to us, and they're still not listening to us. There may be more people right now
Hardly
listening to
listening to
us.
us.
I think now more are listening to
I
us.
mean,
Yes.
there were 35,000, and that was when you consider a lot of people did not see the flyers. And I spoke to a lot of people like, wow, you know, I would have gone had I known, you know, that this was happening. And everybody has a responsibility to go to these things because, you know, we are moving full speed ahead to Nazi Germany and slavery 2.0. And the world that we are going to leave behind for the children is one that nobody would want to live in. It's going to be worse than our ancestors suffered. You know,
Correct. And
you know, spiritually speaking, you know, I'm very much connected to the ancestors, and you know, spiritually, I have my guides around me, and it's really amazing how when you tune in, if you allow yourself and to connect with your guides, they will navigate your path. If you trust it, you have to trust it, but they will not guide you wrongly, because obviously people from the other side that have suffered, that have died in evil, traumatic ways, they know what's coming ahead for the next generations. They can see it, and they can see that our own people are so short-sighted, so greedy, so selfish, not to recognize that we're all extensions of each other. And when you do something, you might think that you're just doing it to that person, but you're actually doing it to a whole generation of people behind you, and you're leaving curses for people to have to pick up. We're still picking up the curses from our ancestors, what they suffered. We're still having to deal with the ramifications of the crimes that were perpetrated centuries ago, right now. And that's why we have to move in alignment with authenticity. And this is what we are being called to do. It might be hard for some people, because for some people, they've been living this way for a very long time. But a lot of people are waking up. And, you know, everybody has a past. I say to everybody that is out there who is part of these satanic programs, all right, who are afraid to give it up, they're living well, you know, they've got trinkets and cars and whatever, houses out of it, and they feel, you know, I don't want to go back to living without anything, I'd rather do this. You know, the golden age, everybody is abundant. That's the thing. Nobody has to screw each other over to get. Everybody gets.
But you know, Seven, we're never getting to a golden age because Nazi Germany is standing in the way, right? And that's sort of the unfortunate truth of the reality that we're facing today.
Exactly. It's not to say that we're never going to get there. We are there, Ramola. It's just that we have people who are very resistant to accepting that. Because when we understand the planetary...
We've always been there, if you think about it. I mean, the Earth is a paradise. It could have always been a paradise. But
it's abundant. It's abundant.
It's abundant.
But
It's
we're
beautiful.
moving from the Piscean age into the age of Aquarius. And basically, there is an alignment. We have Uranus that is positioned in the position of Taurus. I speak about this a lot. I'm not an astrologer, but I observe the ologies. I observe all of them. You know, I've studied a hell of a lot of things in my life. I don't profess to be an expert.
You know a
in
lot
these
about it,
things,
though. I have to
but
say, you
I
did a
know
reading
enough
for
to
me.
guide myself, and
Yeah.
you know, I share what I have learned, and I live by this. I don't talk about stuff that I don't practice myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm a spiritual visionary. I see things. I'm a seer. I'm connected to the other side, the ancestors. They guide me and they tell me and they instruct me, and I follow that guidance because it's real. And, you know, we are very, very close to Nazi Germany. We're really on the edge of it. And this is the most dangerous time for children that we've seen in history for a long time, particularly children that going back to schools right now. It's really dangerous because they're going to use the vulnerability of children. Children are being so badly sacrificed and exploited for other people to get these trinkets. It's disgusting, Ramola, and quite frankly, it's unnecessary. Now, I was going to talk about Uranus. Uranus is the planet. I don't know if we can actually look. The
You want
position.
to look up Uranus? Okay.
Well, we don't have to. We can just keep it here, Ramola. I was going to say Uranus is positioned in the planet constellation of Taurus, and Taurus is the planet of structures, financial systems. It governs anything to do with security, foundations, and the planet Uranus is the planet of revolution. Now, in 2019, the positioning of Uranus, and Uranus doesn't move. It's one of these planets. Some planets move, you know, every 3 days, and then some take a whole cycle to move. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the planet Uranus, it basically is called the planet of revolution. It basically revolutionizes anything that it touches. And right now it's sitting above Taurus, the constellation of Taurus. So what that actually means is that structures, foundations, financial systems, anything that Taurus governs is being revolutionized right now. So what that actually means is that regardless of our personal choices, there is a divine plan unfolding that every single one of us are subject to. Just like I said, it's Pisces moon. We are affected by the cycles. That's why we all of us have more or less all the signs in our charts. Some people are more water. That means that they navigate the feeling realm. Water is the feeling realm. Earth, which will be foundation. Taurus is a earth sign, and Pisces, which we have a moon in Pisces, is a water sign. And so basically, when we look at how the planets and the constellations are configured, we get a good sense of what is transpiring in the world. You can actually predict world events by just looking at the planetary positionings. And the planetary positionings are saying that paradigm is finished. It's over. Whoever wants to continue this paradigm, you'll just fold with it, because Uranus is positioned to pull down these structures. Now, it moved into Taurus last year, and it's got a 7-year cycle. And so basically, that's why we're seeing all of this stuff unfold before us, because there is a changing going on, you know, and you're either going to go with the change or you're going to be destroyed. Those people who do not honor and put themselves in alignment with their authentic true self, which is loving, should be. It should be loving, caring, you know, truth speaking, you know, just. These are divine, sacred principles that every single one of us should honor. But there are some people who are still living on this low vibrational, parasitical vampire energy. These are energy.
There are, and they're continuing to do it because they're on contracts. You know, I love what you're saying about Uranus and the fact that it sounds like the universe is giving us a message that, you know, this evil is indeed going to be dismantled, which is fabulous news
It
for
is
all of
being
us.
dismantled. It is being
But there are
dismantled.
people clinging to their evil and clinging to their actions and their activities. Okay, they are in our neighborhoods and they have weapons. So you see, you know, have to sort of see it from the point of view of what is the technology that they have at their disposal right now? Because it is intense. The kind of tech they've got at their disposal is so extreme that, if permitted, it will destroy this generation and the generations to come. It will hold these generations captive forever.
But
So the
they will also
technology,
be destroyed, because you cannot argue with divine intervention. Divine intelligence is far more powerful
oh, I
than
love that. No, that's the reassuring part of what you're saying. I'm not undercutting anything you're saying. I love that the message you are bringing forward is that we've got the universe on our side. We've got astrology on our side. We've got prophecy on our side. We've got all of this to look
we've got
forward to,
God,
and we've
guides,
got God on our
ancestral.
side.
We've
Yeah,
got the Most
absolutely.
High, the Creator. This is about creation, and man will always try to play God. Man will always try to play God. And the reason why it has continued is because they've used sciences to keep people absolutely dumbed down. Fluoride, GMOs, you name
That's
it. They've
true.
had the whole gambit to be
Negatively, in a
able
very
to,
negative way.
yeah, to basically dumb people down to from recognizing their own internal power, because we're all part of creation. And when we actually align ourselves to the divine spiritual forces, they work in alignment with us. They will show you. I mean, if you're in alignment with all that is in creation and somebody wants to harm you, you get a dream and you'll see everything in technicolor. I saw everything that these people were doing to me beforehand, as it was unfolding, and before the
That's really
baby was put
interesting.
into,
Seven.
there was a situation where this baby was put in an action fact. You can actually type it in and you'll see the baby that was dumped in a Sainsbury's bag. The baby was found by a Polish woman. It was on the 31st of January 2019. Now, the interesting thing is, on the 5th of December, I dreamt the whole thing in Technicolor. I dreamt it,
Wow.
the whole situation, and it was one of the most vivid, powerful dreams I'd ever had. And I told people about it. This is before it actually transpired in real life. So much so, when I actually saw it because it was on the front page of all the newspapers, at the time when I had this dream, and I saw my ex-partner, my ex-husband, he was carrying a baby through a dark park, and it was snowing in this dream. It was snowing, and the baby had no clothes or anything, and the baby was literally freezing. And he was walking through the park, and the baby was literally in his arms like this. I said, "Whose baby is that? Is that your baby?" And he went, "Yeah." And he was walking, and it was dark, and I was just watching, and I was thinking, why does the baby have no clothes? I woke up. Now, at the time, I was aware that he had impregnated one of my friends. She was like my sister, okay?
Oh.
And she was trying to hide that she was having an affair, but she engineered a whole elaborate scheme to make it look like my cousin and I were, liars or whatever, to conceal herself. Obviously, she felt ashamed. She was impulsive. Whatever the reason, she basically had low self-esteem. She wanted to be, I had a stable relationship. She wanted that for herself. Obviously, I'm the beneficiary of a large estate. And for whatever reasons, you would have to speak to her if she could ever bring herself to speak honestly about the situation. And I'm hoping one day that she has the courage to be able to do that. And, people right now are outing this woman. They're going to be outing this woman until she comes and deals with what she's done. Because there's so much wickedness that this woman has participated in. And, and her family have concealed her, people around her. She's literally bringing down everybody whose life she touches. She's bringing them down. Everybody's life that associates with this woman is going down because of her evil. Now, I saw the whole thing unfold, and then it happened in the shared plane. And I say in real time, you know, in our reality. I dreamt it, and then I saw it, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And now in my life, and the interesting thing is, this particular woman, she's also a seer. She used to be a spiritual person, but she's come off the path. She's supposed to be a light worker, but she's gone on the dark side. God knows what made her do that, but that's what she's chosen to do. And she has to get back onto her path and do righteous deeds rather than deeds of wickedness and evil. Now, as I was saying, I'm just telling you a personal example of how these things work. Because in my life, I've seen many times in my life, I've dreamt something and it's come to pass. If somebody around me has not got my best interest at heart, the ancestors will give it to you, the Most High will give it to you, the guardians will give it to you in a dream state where you will vividly see everything. You know, like I spoke to at the time when it was the 5th of December 2018, I had that dream, okay. It actually transpired on the 31st of January. You can type it in and you'll see baby dumped in a Sainsbury's bag in a park. That's kind of a month or so later. Now, at the time, I told a lot of people about my dream, and I spoke to this one woman, beautiful, beautiful sister. She's a powerful sister, this sister I spoke to. She's very, very special. Anyway, at the time when I spoke to her, she said to me, Seven, it hasn't happened yet. I said, how do you know? She says, it hasn't happened. It's a premonition. I said, but how can it be a premonition? This is on the 5th of December. Lo and behold, it comes to pass on the 31st of January 2019.
Wow.
Type it in, baby. You will see people, you will see that there's a baby that was dumped in the park. Okay. And basically, they now have protection. They have protection. They've done deals with the people in my case who are enslaving our people, right now. That's what they've done. They've sold us out. They sold my cousin Ronnie and I out. Ronnie was poisoned. Exactly like my ex-partner. He told me my cousin has to be gotten rid of. My cousin was poisoned, people. He's dead. He died in front of me. I had the premonition to go to him. I managed to catch him just in time. I sent the ambulance to him, but he wouldn't get in it without me. And I had to travel in the middle of the night. It was a bit of a distance. I couldn't walk there. And so he wouldn't get in the ambulance. If he had got in the ambulance, he would have maybe survived. But he didn't, you know, and he died in front of me. It was the most harrowing thing. I mean, this was my soulmate cousin. And I saw everything play out. Now, the wisdom that I'm bringing to the people with this situation right here is that, as I showed you, I dreamt it all before. That shows there's a direct link between what happens in the shared plane and what happens in the divine realms. Okay, we have enormous support with the heavens and all the constellations. This is why we must get into alignment with the forces that be, because the more we are authentic, because how they're manipulating, the whole science of their manipulation is by deception. Their whole armor is by deception and dumbing people down and preventing people from speaking. And we have acquiesced with it by keeping our mouths shut. There's a woman who spoke recently about what's going on in Australia. And she said, you Australians have brought it upon yourself because you've allowed, okay, we're in an hour now, so we're going to sign off the show soon. But this woman you can go onto my channel.
This is the show, Seven.
Sorry?
I said this is the show. Do you see we're going to start the show soon?
I know. Sorry, don't even listen.
No. Keep talking.
We're gonna end the show soon. Sorry.
We'll
just
finish up on a couple of things. Yeah, but
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, but basically, yeah. Sorry, I'm just engrossed in what I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying, if you go to my channel on Solutionaries Media Network, SOULUTIONARIES Media Network on YouTube, and Brightian, You know, there's a video that I posted of a woman who's in Australia, and she was talking about protesting and talking about Australian people have done it. Because the thing is, when you're not authentic, you stop getting your messages from your guides. Because every one of us have got our guides, our ancestors, all the people that come behind us, all our, you know, our foremothers and forefathers, they are all walking with us right now, particularly so because they are rooting for us to change things, you know, to step up and be the generation of people that turns this around, for the good of mankind and for all the children that are coming behind us, because they will suffer. They're suffering now. The children are suffering now. They're being absolutely abused right now. And there are some people that are turning a blind eye. You know, they're not conscious. It's because there's a lack of, they think they're in alignment, but they're not. If you're not working from your heart right now, and you're not able to empathize and have compassion for other people's suffering, and you're not working to bring about the changes, you're actually helping them to bring about the hellish world that we're all trying to ensure never happens. So right now, everybody needs to get in alignment with self. Speak your truth, live your truth. When you see a wrong being done, this is why they want social distancing. They don't want people to communicate. They don't want people to be, because there's strength in numbers. All of us coming together like this, there's strength in that. So people, this
Well,
is
they're
the
breaking
time.
empathy too, you know, because
Yeah,
empathy is shared in closeness.
yeah. And a lot of people, I mean, have acquiesced with this. The Australian people acquiesced. They helped. They made it easy for too long of these
Everybody
people
has.
abusing.
Everybody around the world has made it easy. And, you know, part of it is this precisely this targeting, you know, that has been ignored by people, that has been rejected by people. And where people have consented to monitor others and consented to target others, that's part of the rot of what's going on over here, you know, and has brought us to this point. But this thing that you're talking about, that everybody needs to stand in their truth, and if they see a crime, you know, you've got to expose it. And I think you also have to call out the criminals by name
Absolutely.
and to their face and keep calling them out and
Until they
see.
do right, until
And
they change, until they
yeah,
recognize,
yeah, and
I can't prosper. I can't, it's not prosperous for me to literally sell other people out, to
no,
shove
I'm at the
other
point
people
right
out.
now. I'm at the point right now with my neighbors that I am not going to hold back in exposing who they are to the world and in
Absolutely.
publishing their names and in letting them know
Absolutely.
to their face, you know. I haven't flyered this neighborhood for a long time. It's been a while since I did the last flyering round. But I've
Mm,
got a lot of flyers on my website, and I'm going to start flyering, and I'm going to start a flyering campaign. I'm going to invite anyone who wants to join me, and I'm going to do a show just on this because people need to know the truth of these weapons that are being used. You know, it's no use. We've got mainstream media lying through their front teeth about it, you know, saying, oh, gang stalking is a lie, electromagnetic weapons are a lie, neuro weapons are a lie. Whereas you've got new.
COVID-19 is a lie as well. Mhm,
Exactly. Whereas you've got
mm,
neuroscientists in universities preying on people with their graduate students, you know,
mm,
using non consensual people for brain experimentation. So you've got neuroscientists from the military speaking out openly about the great power of these neuroweapons and what they can do, you
mm.
know?
Yeah,
So
it's not on people, and we have to take a stand. We have to take it. The reason why we need to be in our power, to be authentic, is to be able to speak with a force. When the people came together on Saturday, 35,000 people, the energy that was there, the love that was there was powerful. There is nothing that can defeat that kind of power. That's why they're afraid. And that's why this is where we have to put our alignment. We have to be working as one people and with dedication to actually see that this old paradigm, we have to bring this to a close. This is about the closing of cycles. The Piscean age is finished. That was the year of illusions, okay? Now we're moving into the age of Aquarius. It's completely different, the golden age, whereby we have a completely higher frequency and we elevate our consciousness and our, just the service for self-gratification. I don't give a shit about who I tread on. That paradigm is finished. This paradigm is, how can I help you? How can I support you? How can we come together to build? That's the new paradigm. The new paradigm is, let us change things, do the work so that we can all be abundant, not a few people being abundant because they're doing criminal, evil deeds behind the scenes, which they think nobody will ever make them account for because they know this person and they know this person and the police is protecting them and the mafia is protecting them and this person's protecting. They're all just people. These are all labels. They're just people, and there are more of us than them. We are the 99%. Shout out to Stand Up X, who was chanting at the end of the protest before we went on the march. We are the 99%. We are. People are just not taking up their position of power, and this is where we are, people. Every form of every planetary alignment is working for us. We just have to show up and do the work. Even if you get resistance the first time and the next time and the next time, you have to keep going. We have to call each other out. We have to hold each other to account. You can do better. What you're doing is wrong. You're on the wrong path. You have to call each other out until people start getting back into alignment with what they're supposed to do. Yeah? So we're looking at the protests now. I have some stuff as well, but you have a lot of stuff, don't you?
Sure. No, this is just from, DuckDuckGo with the images. I just pulled it up so people have something to look at while you were speaking.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Yes,
I actually do have some images, but it was phenomenal. Let me show you. This is Kate. Go scroll down a little bit. This there she is again. This is Kate Shamarani doing the peace sign with Piers Corbyn. I know that Piers was arrested, wasn't he? We heard that Piers was arrested. I did open up
How did that happen? Hold on.
some pages on my side as well. So yes,
that's a huge number of people.
See, they said, yeah, it was 35,000 people, and the next time is going to be bigger. I encourage everybody, make flyers about it so that your networks can know. It doesn't matter if it's slavery that they're pushing on you, if they're threatening to do anything, it doesn't matter. You have to stand counted. We have to stand. We're all suffering right now. Ramola and I've been targeted for 17 years. Digital slavery, that's exactly what it is that we're dealing with. The targeting program is digital slavery upon us. David Icke did the most phenomenal speech. He literally showed up for the people. He did the people proud. He gave the most fantastic breakdown and assessment of the situation. Kate Shamarani, she is a warrior like no other warrior. I absolutely love
you.
Like you, it takes one to know one. But Kate Shamarani, I actually met her on stage. She called me up on stage.
Great.
And so, yeah, because, we've done so many panels together, but we never met in real life. And so in real life, I met her at the protest. I'm sort of there as well, behind there somewhere. I met Piers Corbyn, who's here.
Oh, wonderful.
I met Mark Steele. You look at Kate.
Yeah.
She is just amazing. I just have so much respect for her. She's put a life on the line to do this because she knows she's a woman of the Most High. She's a woman of God, and she knows what is going to come for her children.
Yeah.
Once we allow this, the lives that we're living, the slavery that we're dealing with now will be 100 times worse, because these are psychopaths. These are people who get pleasure from hurting vulnerable people. They get pleasure from it. They get pleasure from destroying other people's lives. You know, this is excuse me, these are extremely disturbed, dysfunctional, absolutely mentally insane people. And that is the power right there. That is the government. Us all united together, standing up and saying, hell no, we're not going to let you torture and abuse us. We're not going to let you torture and abuse the further generations. We're not going to allow it. And that's how we do it. We come together, whether it be on social media. Love has to be the new religion. Truth has to be the new religion. Being authentic. Nobody's perfect. People make mistakes, but you've got to be strong enough to be able to stand up and face yourself when you know you've done terrible things in your life that you're not proud of. There's a point where you have to be able to account and recognize when you're hurting other people and you're damaging people's lives. You have to be able to account for that and to be able to recompense. That's a divine principle. And the longer you delay it, the worse it's going to be when it comes at your door, because nobody is escaping karma. Karma comes for every single one of us, for good or for bad. You know, it's better to be on the side of good karma. Start sowing the seeds of good karma. You know, all those people who are out there, who are part of this targeting program, who are part of terrorizing us and abusing us, you know, be part of the change in the world. Make the decision. Whatever they say to you, yeah, they're going to torture you, they're going to target your whole family, they're going to do this. If you all come out, what they can do to you, and even if they do, it's better than actually being a slave to monsters. It's better that you stand up for the truth and be counted for something. Everybody who's alive today is alive for this time. And the people who have been part of the program, who are getting paid, you have a massive part to play. You have a massive part to play because you have seen the belly of the beast. You've been in there. You know what went down. You know what's going down. You need to expose it to help to clean this filth up. That's how we clean it up. Everybody has to speak their truth right now. So this video here, this is Press for Truth, isn't it, Ramola?
Yes, it is. It is.
And what is this particular one about? Are they talking
This is
about
about the Berlin rally, and I guess I just wanted to show footage of the rally. They haven't gotten to it as yet. I have some other videos, but you know, I thought this would be a fast one. It hasn't worked. So you know what? I'm going to just stop share. I'll just show some pictures again. I'll just do a search and show the Berlin rally. What was the date of it? August 29th, right?
Yeah, that's right. There've
So,
been rallies in South Africa as well. There was also a rally in, I have footage of it, but I will I'm making another video, so you'll see.
oh, good. Oh,
Quite,
good. Yeah.
but yeah, there was a rally in South Africa, as well as where else? It's literally happening all over the world right now.
Yes,
People have
Australia's
suddenly just like woken up, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? How can we be protecting a beast,
right, right. So, I think Australia is setting up some protests. Now, there were two rallies in Berlin that were huge, and I typed in the dates. So here, Robert F. Kennedy was in Berlin on the 28th of August. There were Brandenburg Tor protests, and I wanted to write an article about this, and this is what I'm being held back with all this noise harassment and attacks over here, but I'll get to it. Basically, I got some photographs from a friend in Germany, and he was actually highlighting that the whole group in Germany who is fighting to to get Germany recognized as a peaceful nation again and have the Allies sign the peace treaty after World War I, which apparently was never signed, they were also out there demanding that the Allies sign this peace treaty, because there's a huge aspect to that, and that is the United Nations came into being apparently after the Second World War, primarily with Germany as the sole enemy. So if Germany's enemyship is invalidated, then the reason for the United Nations is also invalidated. So it's kind of huge, you know, so it's kind of a globalist, nationalist versus globalist struggle over there. So those people were also protesting and asking for peace. Um, so these are some of the big pictures from Berlin.
It's massive. It's day and night, and it's humongous. Remember, Germany is still very, very much connected to what happened in Nazi Germany. They have ancestors that are probably still alive who remember it, you know, or who have had ancestors who saw the telltale signs of, you know, what it looked like, how it progressed. And we're seeing the same kind of progression today. We're seeing like the traffic is being rerouted. There's all of these things. There's all these checkpoints in London. What would that be to do with a virus? What does why is there a checkpoint if there's a virus? You got to, you know, the people who haven't been questioning it have to look at this thing more closely and question what is the motive behind some of the things that we're seeing, and also the fact that in the manuals for Agenda 21, all of this is written. The removal of parents' rights to be able to raise their children. All of these things are in the Agenda 21, 2030 manuals. You just have to go to Rosa Corey, look at some of her videos. Rosa Corey, she is the authority on the Agenda 21. And you will be shocked to see that everything that we're seeing is unfolding exactly as they put in these manuals.
That's right. And, you know, that's a huge subject in itself, and a lot of people have covered it. Rosa Corey is one of the primary speakers on that subject. There's a few others as well, you know, Elena Johnson-Poe and various others. And some of them have been speaking out again. And that's certainly something I'm trying to look into as well right now and, you know, do some videos on. But you're right. We're seeing a kind of, you know, rollout of stuff that they've written in their documents. They've had it in their documents for decades. So,
and people think that this is just happening. It's not just happening. It's by design.
And even these weapons that I harp on, that I come back to, you know, they've been in the development for decades, you know, from various corners of the military and intelligence worlds. They've been being developed for decades. So, but they're here now.
Yeah, and yes, and
And they're
they're
being
harming
used
people
now.
in serious ways. What about Trump on that? Do you think that he is, you know, does he respond? Because I know a lot of people that are from the targeted community write to Trump, and a lot of people who follow QAnon, etc. Is he doing anything about that, Ramola, in your
No, he's doing
opinion?
nothing about it as far as I can tell. And I can tell you that, you know, there is a whole Q group that's rah, rah, rah for Trump. And, you know, I think Trump has been doing a lot of good things. And I think he's certainly working on the child issue and child trafficking issue, which is huge. And he should be doing that. But there are other issues that he should be addressing, which I kind of doubt he will address because he hasn't addressed them so far. My own thinking and my own analysis on the whole weapon issue with all of them, with the entire government, is that they're not going to touch it. They're not going to touch it to the extent that anybody who's targeted hopes. You know why? Because these are billion-dollar industries, and they are multiply linked industries. You know, they're sort of vertically integrated, horizontally integrated industries. We're talking about huge industries. These are defense contractor industries, security service industries. They are medical and biotechnology industries. They involve every sector of society. They involve universities, they involve private contractors, they involve the defense, they involve intelligence, and they involve the government, and the Justice Department and the local police. Okay, so there's a lot of quote unquote stakeholders in this game, and there's a lot of big money. It's like big pharma. It's a huge pyramid, and these people are making big money out of it. You know who has to make the difference with these weapons? It's, as you said, common people, humanity, people listening to their
Absolutely, in
heart
all of the issues.
in
That
all of
goes
the issues.
across the board, whether it be the vaccine issue, the testing issue, the targeting issue, the trafficking issue. It will change when the people say, hell no, we've had enough.
Correct. It's
That's
not
when
going
it
to
will
happen from the
change.
top. So these petitions, these letters, which I have also engaged in because I thought that was the right thing to do a few years ago. I threw myself into it. And hello, I will still write letters to these people just to create a public record. However, I'm not expecting them to do anything. They have done nothing so far. And these industries are continuing to grow. Okay? These contracts are continuing to be dished out.
Well, in the UK, they have something called the gang master's license. And that is a license for these people who are stalking people that they pay the UK to be able to do it with impunity.
Wow.
Basically, they'll never get arrested. The police will keep quiet about it. Everybody will keep quiet about
That's
it.
what's going on.
And that's what's going on. And
Mm-hmm.
then you've got the minions that become police informers against us. And, one of the things that I would say as well is that people need to be taking their attention to GCHQ and these agencies, these places where they're holding all this data, because none of this would be able to exist without the GCHQ and NSA, etc. And there's something called, because all of these machines, they get very hot. And basically they have to be cooled by water. So they were saying that one of the ways that you can deal with it is that you turn off the water, because these things will literally not be able to function, because there's gridlock of machines back to back, and they get overheated. And so one of the solutions is to demand that the water companies turn it off, turn the water off and stop facilitating. But I think the world needs to turn their attention to also protesting and flagging up these type of organizations, GCHQ, Virgin. A lot of people are
Absolutely.
not recognizing that Virgin.
Every single intelligence agency is engaging in crime. Every
Yes,
single one of them.
Virgin in particular, who I sued, because as people know, I sued 10 corporations and I won. Virgin have a particular role in all of this, because they're one of the worst mafia cartels that there is. It's not just them. There's a whole conglomerate of people, which we call Seven Gate now, because it's part of the case that I won. But they're in control of the NHS. So they're involved in the NHS. They're in control of the NHS contract. And when that organization took over the NHS contracts, that's when we started to see real danger being done to people. And I saw the potential for what is happening now back then, and we're talking, I've been involved in the suing of these people and exposing of the crimes that they're committing against humanity for 17 years. And what they've done to myself and my family in order to steal my IP estate. That's what the whole thing, everything that's happening to me, is the root of it is my IP estate. But what I want to say to people is start to flag up the fact that GCHQ, because nothing that they're doing would be able to run without of these surveillance driven complexes. So this is where people need to bring their attention to. You know, if you want to shut it down, those are the places
To
that you
every
want
one
to
of
shut
those
down.
programs, you see, because they now have programs. They have community police monitoring, community monitoring programs. They have community police programs, neighborhood watch programs, infraguard programs from the FBI. Every fusion center has some kind of program to involve the community. Countering violent extremism, which is a whole subject in itself, because these
Mm.
guys hold hands across the countries and continents. They hold international conferences. And what are they doing? They are sitting around trying to call people violent extremists, mislabel them, miscast them, and attack them. For life with this kind of targeting. And you can say whatever it is, because there are contracts, there are connecting and extenuating contracts which tie people who are targeted into defense or military contracts or CIA contracts, literally, or NIH contracts where people are being
Yeah.
sold as non-consensual test subjects into all of these contracts and agencies and divisions and so forth.
Hmm.
But it starts here. It starts with the police departments. It starts with the fusion centers, with these countering violent extremism programs. And I should say a word over here about what's going on currently with Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all of the violence that they're unleashing in our cities. They are creating a profile for the term violent extremist, terrorist,
Mm.
domestic terrorist.
Which they
So
want to link to us black people. That's why they call it
to
Black Lives
everybody.
Matter.
They want to link it to everybody who speaks out about any subject, and they want to use it, and they are using it, and they've been doing it for a long time. But now they've got two very concrete groups, Antifa and Black Lives Matter, to use as role models of violent extremists, domestic terrorists,
It's
and
all
then use that
engineered.
label for people like us. So
Yeah.
it's outrageous. It's like a manufacture. In other words, the intelligence agencies, the Justice Department, the police departments, they are in the business not of mitigating crime, not of keeping the peace, not of maintaining justice, law, and order, but of manufacturing crime. They are manufacturing
Absolutely.
and supporting crime.
Yeah, anything to keep that paradigm going, because that paradigm is finished. So they're creating chaos and
Yeah.
destruction everywhere in order to continue this old school idea that you trample on other people in order, and there's basically a small percentage of the world dominates the larger percentage of the world. The way that it's being flipped now is that the larger percentage of the world dominate the small percentage of the world, how it should be. Basically, the people have the power. We have always had the power, but some people have just basically been dumbed down. Some people have been totally manipulated by mainstream media. And it's over now, Ramola, and I'm glad to say it's over. So everybody participate in one way. Shout out to everybody who shares our videos, everybody who makes videos that are on side, all the freedom fighters out there. We shout out to you, because it's all of us that are coming together peacefully. And I say peacefully because we're peace-loving people. These are the aggressors, and it's aggressors that want to manipulate those of us that are peaceful. However, there is power in peace. There is power in peace if we mobilize in the right way and we have each other's back. We've already won. We've already won. We just have to show up.
And on that note,
Yeah,
let's bring this conversation to an end because we've been going on for quite a while. And I'm glad
yeah.
we were able to cover, a little bit of London and Berlin. Perhaps not to the extent we intended to, but I think we've covered a great deal more. And, we've talked about targeting, which is very important. I really, really appreciate that you talked about the time period that we're in through the lens of astrology, which is a very different perspective for many people. So,
Mm.
it's very interesting to hear.
Keep your eyes
And
on the stars, people. The constellations, they teach you a hell of a lot, and help. Let's respect that this cycle is finished. Let's not drag it on. I can't wait for it to all just it will come down. It's coming down as we speak, because there is nowhere else for us to go. We have to end that cycle. So
We have
I'm
to,
so
absolutely,
happy.
or it's the end of humanity as we know it. And, some of us do know that, and I think many people are waking up to it.
Yeah. But I'm
So,
glad we did what we did today, because I really think that I want people to send you love, send you support, to support your channel. Please like and share and subscribe, people. That helps us tremendously, because we get censored. Well, they always suppress our views. They make it really low. And we bring information that, most people don't want to bring. Well, more people are now, but it hasn't been touched. And Ramola is one of the forerunners who has really put herself on the line. She's had a lot of abuse from people, all kinds of trolls coming at her, as we do. But, support Ramola as well, watch her videos, share her videos, and, protect her, because she is being attacked right now. We're women, we're warriors, but we're still women, And so I'm really glad that we managed to talk about what's happening to you, Ramola, because you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. You deserve
of
you
course, I
deserve
don't.
all the love and respect in the world, and I honor you here today,
Oh, thank
my
you. I'm
sister.
so touched by that. Thank you so much,
You're
Seven.
most welcome.
Seriously, neither do you, neither does anybody. I mean, targeting is an outrage, it's a satanic crime. It is a horrendous crime. The use
Mm.
of these weapons, and this is a special note and a special shout out to all those guys in the police, intelligence, military, and justice departments who are watching us, and I'm sure you are. It is a
Mhm.
crime. What you are engaged in is an absolute crime. Biohacking is a crime. It is an atrocity. It is a
Mm.
crime against humanity. It's the ultimate invasion and intrusion of privacy.
Mm.
These are extreme crimes against humanity. The second Nuremberg tribunal has not been held, and I understand the first one was very fake in its own way. It let off a lot of people, but
The
as
next one
Seven is
will
saying, the next one, and
will
the
not.
fact that we are living in this time period where everything is coming out, it's going to come to a point where the crimes that you have unleashed in the world, the crimes that you are turning a blind eye to, and the crimes that you're permitting to exist in the world, biohacking and neurohacking crimes with deadly non-lethal electronic, sonic, scalar, BCI weaponry. These crimes will come to light, and they will be, I hope, in
Don't.
some way.
We know. We know. We know. I know. I've seen it. I see things in the spirit, Ramola. Trust me when I tell you. Just like I saw that dream about the baby on the 5th of December, January the 31st, it happened. I'm telling you, I've seen that this system is coming down. I've seen it. It's coming down. It won't survive.
Fabulous.
I've seen it, Ramola, and I'm not lying. When I tell you I've seen it, I have seen it, people. This system is coming down. You have to have faith and confidence in yourself, and have faith and confidence in the Most High and your ancestors. They cannot continue this corrupt system if you do not show up. If you show up is what I mean. If you show up, if you don't show up, they'll be able to do what they want to do. If you stand up for humanity and stand up and be counted, even if you just do it for your own family, that's enough. It won't be able to run. It's finished for them. They know it's finished. They're just trying to bamboozle people that they still got power. They have no power. They have the power that you people give them. As long as you say I'm not giving them no power no more, it's finished. And so let's all get there, people. Let's all get there. Let's get to our power. Let's get to the Most High. Let's let them know we've had enough. We've had enough. They've had a lot of fun on our expense. They've had a lot of drinking champagne, indulging, all on the back of our suffering while they laughed at us, people. They laughed at us. It's the end. Let them know it's the end. Yeah, good.
Absolutely. On that note, absolutely terrific words. Thank you, Seven. That's exactly right. Just take back your power and, plan to do something this week to do so, to take back your power and express yourself.
One more thing, people, on the 5th of September in London, there's a protest in Parliament Square, and the protest that took place on the 29th is going to continue on the 26th of September in Trafalgar Square. So 2 dates for your diary in London. Please make flyers about it, people. The 5th of September 2020 in Parliament Square protest, which is basically, what day are we now? The 3rd.
The 2nd. Today's
So
September
basically
2nd.
it's in 2 days time. Then we have on the 26th, my peeps, Kate Shamarani, Mark Steele, all of that movement is going to be doing, just like on the 29th, we're going to see it be repeated on the 26th. So everybody, please participate, please be there, please spread the word. If you can't be there, at least spread the word. Yeah. So peace out, people. Thank you, Ramola. Much love to you and your family. Until the next show. We do it fortnightly, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
See everybody in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much, Seven, and same to you and your family as well. Much love.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye.
everyone for watching. We'll see you again very soon. Have a great
Yeah.
night and a great couple of weeks. Bye for now.
Yeah. Bye. See you.